Paper Snob. This is Tara. I am going to be working on a new inspirational YouTube and Instagram hop called Baby Got Scraps. I will have a list in the bottom with everybody who is playing along this month for this hop. We've all got them, scraps. They're everywhere. Mine are mostly organized, but I have taken to creating little piles all over the floor. And so here's pile number 1 that needs to disappear. So I created another layout with this stack of simple stories and papers. The layout was in a page class kit from We Create. Allison Davis makes gorgeous classes and class kits, and this is the leftovers from that kit. And some of these pieces are just too big for even me to toss. I mean, I could have tossed that, but I didn't. Since I decided to keep the others, I went ahead and kept those as well. These pieces are actually from a Freckled Fawn kit, and I pulled them in for these labels here. This is another bit of leftovers from We Create class kit by Allison Davis. I made a wreath surrounding a photo with these wood grain flowers, so I thought I'd bring those in and maybe try to use up as much of that pack as I possibly can. This is the photo I'm going to use. This is me with my second oldest child. That's Garrett. He is a U.S. Marine. Kind of followed in his daddy's footsteps, just chose a different branch. My husband is active duty Army, and we are very proud of our son for, you know, heeding the call to serve our country. I'm going to be using this stencil. I have a Pink Fresh Studio ink. It's called Tidal Pond. And this was given to me from my friend Kimberly from I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking. And I thought I would pull a title from this pack. We'll see what I come up with. It's also got some little stars and bits and pieces that I can use as embellishments or even centers for flowers. And ironically, it's American Crafts, but those colors are pretty stinking close. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started with this layout. I will come back and I will have the video sped up and we'll get going. Be right back. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stenciling started. Now I'm going to be using my little brush here for the stenciling, and I'm just going to put it over here on this right hand side. I'm going to move that stencil around a couple of times and get a pretty decent amount of stenciling on this side of this paper. I have an idea of what I'm doing with the scraps, so I'm only going to be working on the right hand side of the white cardstock. Now this white cardstock is from Joann's. I adore their heavier weight cardstock. It comes in a pack of 40 and it is perfect for scrapbooking. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm just going, I'm going to mat this photo with this tone on tone pattern paper. And then I will cut strips. And my strips are going to range between 1 inch and 3/4 of an inch when I'm done. And it's going to look like a hot mess as I build the background, but please bear with me. I do know what I'm doing and where I'm going with those pattern papers. And once I get them adhered, you'll see exactly what's going on. But you know, in the meantime, I'm going to take these scraps and I'm going to go ahead and start just making some decent sized strips. I do toss the extra bits on the floor behind me as I go, and all of those pattern papers that I don't use, I am absolutely going to throw away. Again, this was a page kit. I showed you the layout in the intro where I had created the original layout, and these scraps are all different sizes, and I know I'm making excuses. The truth is I don't save a whole lot of scraps. especially once I'm done with the collection and I don't have any more of Simple Stories Boho Sunshine. This is the only bits and pieces of that collection I own. So I'm just kind of still going along, and some of these strips are going to be short, and that's where the comment about the hot mess comes in. It is going to look like a hot mess because I'm going to be lengthening these strips to make them look like one strip behind my photo, and I'm just kind of getting an idea of what kind of stripes or strips that I'm going to end up with here. And there are several different colors here and patterns. Again, this came from Simple Stories Boho Sunshine, and I am just pleased to be able to play a little bit more with it. It is a beautiful collection. Kind of what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get those butterflies on my strips so that I have a whole butterfly to look at, and then I'm going to flip it over for that pink side because it's also very pretty. And again, it looks like I'm making most of my strips 3/4 of an inch, but there's a couple that are 1 inch, and I do use those both sizes on that background as I build. I also will not be saving those branding strips. I don't think there's a whole branding strip on any of these scraps of pattern paper, and Simple Stories doesn't put a pattern on the whole 12 by ½ inch branding strip anyway. They only put it on there as a portion, and I usually just don't save Simple Stories branding strips at all. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this label and I'm going to cut it out. I am only going to be using one label. That label is very, very long, and the other 3 will probably get put in my label binder. That way they are organized and I can find them for later. And yes, I do have a label binder. I've brought it out on camera a couple of times. I really need to go through it and make it into a better order, but it is what it is, and at least they're all in one place and I can find them. So now I'm just going to kind of clear my space, and I'm going to plot my photo down to get an idea of where it's going to end up, and I'm going to proceed to sit here and make a goofy mess of trying to cut these angles. So I don't want the slant going the same way, and you're going to see that I keep cutting it wrong. I cut it wrong multiple times, and then I get kind of annoyed, and I try to fix it, and it's not fixed. Anyway, I'll eventually figure it out and get that point going the way that I want on every single strip. Now I'm only putting a point at the top portion. There's not going to be the slant edge on that bottom. And you can kind of see here as I layer things up that it's kind of a loose mess right now. But I'm mostly just trying to get an idea of how many of those strips I'm going to need, and when I need to create a longer bit, because sometimes if you have them too short, it doesn't look right. And again, I don't have full length strips for all of the colors, and that does end up being fine because I'm going to cover everything up where they don't meet in the middle pretty well. So that's where this comes in. That square that I have there, I'm going to go ahead and cut it into strips so that I have the smaller lengths to go out towards the bottom. And if you have not tried that Tim Holtz trimmer, I really love mine. It cuts like butter, and one of my biggest complaints in other trimmers that I have purchased that are not a Fiskars is I can't cut little slivers with them. It just doesn't work. I absolutely despise my Creative Memories trimmer. I bought that because everybody said it was the best ever, blah, blah, blah. I don't like it. And so there it sits in my across my room gathering dust because I just don't care for it. But this trimmer does cut off tiny slivers, and that makes me very happy because it means I can replace my Fiskars, which has worn out. The track is starting to move because it's warped, which means I'm not getting even cuts anymore. Even cuts are important, you know, when you're scrapbooking, especially if you're trying to be detailed. And it always annoys me when I can't cut off a sliver because I've cut a mat slightly too large or something. But with this one, I can, and it cuts very, very well. So at this point, you kind of can see what I'm doing. Like I said, it looks like a hot mess, but I'm going to be sticking up little pieces underneath the photo as well. All right, off camera, I went ahead and glued down those strips, and if you look real closely, you can see there are 5 lines of hand stitching on 5 of those strips. I chose at random which ones I was going to use. I decided to use the word happy from that title piece, and I found that rainbow on my desk from, I believe it is from Chamel's main character energy. I was digging through that before Christmas for another layout, and it did not get put away. So this is my idea of putting it away. It's on a layout, and I don't have to dig out the ephemera pack and put it away in there. I know, so lazy. So I also took 3 of the larger wood grain flowers, and I hand stitched on those as well. And I'm just kind of layering up the bits and pieces, deciding where I want things to go. And then off camera, I will come back in and I will have glued them down. I will also add in centers and foam adhesive to add a little bit more color and interest to those wood grain flowers. All right, I finished this layout and I am happy with the way it turned out. I used quite a bit of product on here, most of which I would consider scraps. Nothing was brand new, freshly out of the package. I showed you that at the beginning of the video, and I even pulled in some things that were hanging around on my desk, like that beautiful rainbow there. And that's it. I want to thank you so much for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you subscribe. Just click that button below. There's also a bell, and that bell will tell YouTube that you would like to be notified when I put out new content. Make sure that you read that description box below so that you can follow along in this hop. There are players on both Instagram and YouTube both, and they will be down there for you to see and click on. Make sure you leave everybody some love. We all love comments. It helps put our content up in those algorithms on both Instagram and YouTube, so we appreciate those likes and comments. You guys have a great rest of your day and Happy New Year. Bye.